We are Gathering of the Geeks, podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one about Emmet joining the Monster Squad. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my Coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing. How are you?
Good. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. What's up to everybody in the comments already? Cookie Grabs, Phil, Eric, DC Patrol. How's it going on this fine Sunday evening? What'd you guys get up to this weekend? What'd you get up to this week? What'd you read? What'd you watch? They're pretty lively in the comments already, Chris. So Grabs was having some issues with his video, and the Mr. Fix It there, Eric, helped him out. So that's always good to know. So we're going to talk about a couple of things tonight, Chris. We're going to talk about kind of our non-spoiler thoughts on Black Adam. We're going to talk about Monster Squad, and we're going to talk about some other stuff as well. But
I don't know if anything else matters, though.
Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on Gotham Knights as well that you were playing. But other than that, Chris, how was your week, man? What else did you get up to? Our first week sans Rings of Power.
I miss it. Thursday rolled around, and then there was no Rings of Power at 11, and then Friday there was still no Rings of Power, obviously.
He kept checking.
I just kept checking, like maybe they added an episode, maybe there was a behind the scenes, but there was not. So I miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I didn't get up to too much.
Yeah, I subverted my missing of Rings of Power by starting the Fellowship of the Ring. Started watching it with my son, and we watched some of it a couple nights ago, and we watched a little bit more tonight. So I'm gonna make the long wait for Rings of Power just by filling it in with lots and lots of Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I'll probably just go back and rewatch the Hobbit films, which I did. I finally went around to watching all of them, which was a couple weeks ago. But now I'll probably just watch them again, and I'll just try and fill in that void that I have with no Rings of Power.
Maybe that's what I'll watch on the plane on Thursday.
Yeah, that'll go. That'll get you in the right mindset for the fantastical nature of where you're headed.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. That sounds fun. Yeah, I think that's what I'll probably do to those. Finally get to the Hobbit trilogy, and maybe rewatch the main three again, because why not?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm watching the extended edition, and they just got to the Mines of Moria, and there's so much stuff that I would have liked to have remembered from these ones when watching the Rings of Power. Like they mention Numenor, they mention.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they do. Elrond, when he's talking to Gandalf, mentions Numenor, and then when they get into the mines, there's Mithril in the rock, like we see it in Rings of Power. And Gandalf is like, oh, they didn't mine for jewels, and they didn't mine for gold. They mined for Mithril. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like there's just so much, and it's just funny hearing the names again. And we mentioned it on the podcast that we were doing when Steve corrected us on why we didn't get why Durin was so important with Durin's Door. I'm like, it's clear as day. Gandalf says it. It's just an interesting thing, and seeing the Isildur thing over and over again, it just gets me that much more excited that we'll get more of the backstory in Isildur. It's just an interesting thing, and like I said, we were both fans of the movies. We watched them, but there's just so much in those movies that you forget, and we're terrible with names, so it's hard to remember half the things they're saying anyways. So just going back and
I still can't pronounce the name of the high elf or the king elf.
Yeah, that's right.
I can spell it.
Yeah, it is cool to go back though. I think if you do get to it, that you'll find a lot more enjoyment in going back.
Yeah, I think it's something I'd like to do. Because, and again, we have a likely very long wait until season 2.
Absolutely.
I think at least a year and a half. At least.
Yeah. What else did you get up to this week?
I finally watched E.T.
Yay!
Yeah, I finally watched E.T. And I actually think it lived up to the hype I'd always heard about it. Because when I watched The Goonies, I didn't think it was that special, really.
Goonies, that's the first Goonies mentioned in this episode. It's not going to be the last one. Just
I figured.
A hint to the future.
Yeah, I figured. But it didn't... it it lived up to to everything I heard about it, and maybe a little bit more because I still didn't know what it was before watching it. Like I
Mhm.
had a better understanding. Okay, the alien got left behind. I
Right.
always thought ET was about an alien who's coming poking around at stuff, and
Right.
he befriends the kid. That's what I thought it was. I didn't know. Oh, this little guy gets left behind by some bastard aliens, and they just leave him. I mean, that's what they
Yeah, I
could have
get it.
waited, or they could have went and found the kid
Yep.
instead of just sitting there with the glowing chest like that's supposed to follow us. So,
Yes.
but I I end up really liking ET quite a bit.
Well, that makes me so happy to hear. And for a couple of reasons, because of the hype, like you said, that it's built up. Like it seems like it's a fairly highly praised movie from
Mhm.
lots of people. So, and to have that weight on a type of movie, I'm happy that it is because it's one of my favorite movies. It's just, as you like to say, Christopher, it's a beautiful piece of cinema. So,
It is. It really is, and it's also kind of funny because since it's a product of its time. There's
hmm
like police pointing shotguns at children, which
yeah.
you don't see
hmm
nowadays. And
hmm
I think our friend Ian was telling me he told me, but I think he was mentioning that scene specifically. They've edited out the guns,
yeah. They're
and
flashlights now.
yeah, and that makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no. What are you going to do with a flashlight in
Right.
the daytime?
I was gonna say it's in the daytime,
hmm
so yeah, I'm with Grabs here. If it has a heart, it ages well, and it really
hmm
does.
Hmm.
I did not want any Reese's Pieces afterward, though, surprisingly.
That makes me happy that you like ET. It just it's been so long. What was that movie in 80,
I think it's an
83,
84, 83, something like that.
84? Yeah. I'm sure there's other movies that are older than that you haven't seen, but I'm glad that you've watched it now. So you
Me
can
too.
check that one off your list, Chris.
Eventually, I'll get to the hundreds of other ones.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, one movie at a time, man. You can't. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Jaws might be next. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. Keep up the Spielberg thing. That's what you should do. Is pick a filmmaker that you haven't seen a lot of their movies and just just
I
go through the
should.
catalog.
A few years ago, I went on a Scorsese binge because I'd
Hmm,
seen, the newer stuff, not the older ones. So I went back
right.
and I watched like Raging Bull and I forgot which other ones. I just watched most of his older stuff to catch up, and
hmm
those are really good too. They stand up very well.
I have a hard time watching Raging Bull
Why?
because it's just so old. I This is an entirely different conversation, but I have a hard time with a lot of older movies and just seeing like the progression of Scorsese as a filmmaker
Hmm.
also changes from Raging Bull all the way to I guess like Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. But just the story of Raging Bull is quite hard to watch. Specifically some of the boxing scenes, they're pretty like ruthless.
Yeah.
And the stuff with I can't remember De Niro's character, but his brother Joe Pesci, his
Hmm.
character. It's just a lot of tough subject matter, I guess, in a different kind of movie. I won't deny it's greatness or whatever, but it's just one of the harder ones to watch for me for a Scorsese film.
That's fair. I like it a lot, though, for a lot of the
Mm.
reasons you said.
hmm Sure. Yep.
And I enjoy boxing films, which is crazy because I haven't seen all the Rocky movies, but here we are.
Oh yeah. What other ones do you like? You
The
like
wrestler, not the
Ali?
wrestler, the fighter, the one with Christian Bale.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, that's a good one.
I like Cinderella Man a lot.
I haven't seen that one.
It's pretty good.
hmm
Russell Crowe always delivers, unless
hmm
it's a Marvel movie. So,
Oh.
zing.
Yeah.
Bring Out the Dead is also a really good one. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a very close to my. It might be my favorite one. I'm a big fan of Wolf of Wall Street, but Bringing Out the Dead is just some of the stuff in the acting in that movie. John Goodman, Ving Rhames, Tom Sizemore as Nick Cage's kind of ambulance buddies, and the what's his name, the cop from the hospital. One of my favorite lines in all of film. He says, "Don't make me take my sunglasses off."
Hmm.
When it's getting pretty feisty in the waiting room. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Bringing Out the Dead. Uh,
Plus Nick Cage,
and of course, Christopher Nick Cage. Yes.
of
How can
course.
you go wrong?
Uh, so I watched that. I rewatched Hubie Halloween because it's just fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love old Adam Sandler movies, so like Billy
Mm.
Madison, Happy
Mm-hmm.
Gilmore. I really love those, and Hubie Halloween is basically like one of those.
Really?
Yeah, it's really not a good movie, I guess, but it's entertaining.
I haven't seen that one. That one's on Netflix. I guess all of his newer ones kind of
Mhm.
are on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and it's kind of like I think it's considered a family film. I'm not sure.
Don't know.
I think it
Never
would be.
saw it.
It has children
But
in it. Happy Gilmore still makes me every time I see it. I agree, it's a good one.
a
Also,
lot of those
Mr.
ones
Deeds.
too. Yeah, Mr. Deeds. I like Big Daddy a lot.
Big Daddy makes me
Um,
sad.
yeah. I wipe my own ass, Chris. I
Well,
wipe
yeah,
my own
that's funny,
ass.
but then the ending is sad because you gotta get ripped away from him, and then it's
Uh-huh.
just sad to me. I have seen Rocky 76, and I like it. I just don't love it, I guess.
Hmm.
It's good though. I want to watch the new Creed movie. I saw the trailer for that with Black Adam.
Yeah. What'd you think? What'd you think about that
Oh yeah, I
trailer?
did see Black Adam, so
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
Mhm.
I do. I wanted to mention that Creed trailer, Creed 3. You've seen Creed 1 and 2?
No,
Okay.
but I think this one looks great.
Okay, that's good. There was a lot of praise for Jonathan Majors in this trailer.
Mhm.
I was on the complete opposite side of it. I thought he
Really,
felt rather wooden. Like I kept looking for a GIF or a meme of like a cardboard cutout because he's so muscular.
Hayden
And
Christensen.
yeah, just a cardboard cutout kind of walking around. There was something about Jonathan Majors in the trailer just didn't have me excited. And I was excited because I think there was a couple of pictures released maybe a couple months ago of him in the desert doing his training or whatever. And the guy's absolutely jacked.
Mhm.
But just something about, and I like Jonathan Majors, very good in Lovecraft Country, which I
That's
really
what I
like.
noticed him in.
Yeah, but there's something about the trailer, and trailers are misleading in a lot of different things for a lot of different things, a lot of different reasons. But there's something about him that just made me feel like he was a little bit wooden. And maybe because I'm comparing him to Michael B. Jordan on the other side of things, but I'm excited about it too. I love the Creed films. The Creed 1 is one of my favorite movies from that year. I'm a huge fan.
I like the idea of him.
Mhm.
Legacy, cool.
Yep.
I've seen Rocky Balboa. That was a good one.
Uh-huh.
He had a son in that. That was good.
Yeah, that's right. Very good. Very good.
Also, I think Jonathan Majors being in it is a big reason I want to see it too because I like him a lot, and I agree with Zeddy. Jonathan Majors is about to go from destroying Ant-Man to Adonis Creed within the span of 2 months. You're just not going to root for Jonathan Majors next year on film. Just not.
Yeah. Yeah, Grabs ain't too happy about that. He's a big Ant-Man fan.
Yeah, well, I feel sorry for the Ant family. Next year.
I think I saw on maybe Marvel retweeted the Ant-Man Twitter account, and they mentioned that big things are coming this week or in a couple days or
Oh
something.
yeah, I think they're debuting the trailer.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. If
I
we are
saw
going to see Kang in it.
I saw the leaked version of the trailer.
Oh, did you? You
I
sneaky
did.
bugger, you.
Oh well, it's there.
Is this from D23? Is that when this was from?
I guess that's what this footage was from. Yeah, it's pretty long because it has like a short burst of shots like a trailer would, but then there was like a whole minute scene of Kang and Scott talking, and it was framed more like a I guess like a clip. So
Right.
I don't know if that's what they're putting in theaters or what.
Guess we'll find out. Well, it's too early to be with Black Panther. Black Panther's not until
No.
November.
Yeah, but I think
when is it?
I want to say it's February. Is it not?
No, when is Black Panther?
Oh, November.
November. I can't remember what it is. So maybe it's not that far. Shit, November's next week.
It's like a few weeks. It's perfectly timed to be with
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And then I think Ant-Man is February or March, if I'm not mistaken. Plenty of time.
Not that far away for sure. What about reading? Did you read anything exciting this week? Did you get to that Crypt of Shadows book you were thinking about?
So what happened was I read Moon Knight. I was like, oh, this was good. Of course, I enjoy Moon Knight every month when it comes out. And then I, digital, of course. So I click on it, and I see, oh, this is this is going to be a longer book because it's an anthology. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I didn't know that till I opened, and the index had all these stories. Like, oh, so this is what it is. I don't got time for this. and I closed it, and I'll go back to it later.
I like that. I don't got time for this.
Yeah, I'll get to it later. There's one story, I think it says Werewolf. It's called Werewolf by Moonlight. So I'm pretty excited to read that one.
Yeah.
Specifically.
That doesn't happen very often, where just the thought of a book and its context and its writing and the way the book is put together just turns you off from that reading at that moment.
Like I do that often.
Different headspace. Maybe it'll be a little bit different, but that's interesting.
I do that pretty often though. I'll get a book and I'm like, I'll get to this. And I think I'm going to read it right there and then I flip like, no.
Not today, Satan.
Right, not today, Satan. Oh, Aaron's with us now. He said Black Panther's November 11th, I suppose.
There we go. Yeah, I guess so. If Ant-Man's this week? Yeah, I guess it could still be for Black Panther. That would make sense.
I remember liking it, but obviously not enough to remember anything about it or watch the sequel. Well, this is the second sequel, right?
This is the third one. Right. Yeah, this is the third one. The first one is miles better than the second one, I think. Not that there's anything wrong with the second one, but the first one is just a very, and Ryan, you were talking about Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler, the first one. Great stuff.
But anyway, that's all I've read. I meant to get to One Bad Day also. I did not.
Oh, okay.
But I will eventually.
Yeah, cool. Well, we can talk about that one whenever you do. I only read one comic this week, which was Silver Coin number 15. And it was interesting after reading it. In the back of the book, Michael Walsh, the writer, says he's going to take a little bit of a break from the series. Him and his wife are having a baby, so they're going to take a break. So it's interesting that the issue 15 is in relation to all the way back for issue number 1. So kind of a nice tight little bow as they take their little break. Going into spooky season here, or into spooky season in Halloween, just a week away. There's no better horror book than Silver Coin right now. So I highly recommend it to anyone who needs a good horror comic in their lives. Number 15.
Is it better than Archie versus the Predator?
See, that's good stuff still. That's good stuff still. Don't tempt me with that, making the choices, Chris.
The Archie comics have a lot of horror now.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I think they got one coming out, Salem. I think it's this week or next week.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, and then there's like the Jughead ones where he's fighting somebody, and
is he fighting a vampire version of Veronica?
That sounds awesome.
I think that's what it is. Or maybe he's a werewolf in it. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like, I don't know when the relationship was that they decided to do this, but ever since Riverdale had the CW show, and they kind of conjoined a little bit with the Sabrina show on Netflix, they had a little bit of a crossover. Seems like, and I think this was well before that. But yeah, the interesting side of Archie with the horror. It's such an interesting side to the character.
It's a new layer to
it. That's right.
Updating the character with horrible things. What you do.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for Scooby to track down Michael Myers.
That's what I was thinking. We're Scooby-Doo. Yeah, Scooby-Doo and Archie. They're always getting into hijinks and the blending of the characters. I guess it goes back a long ways with Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
It's not really a new thing where characters that are not in the horror genre just get introduced to the horror genre. Did you ever watch any of those?
Yeah, I've seen the Abbott and Costello ones, and I've seen a lot of the the Scooby-Doo crossovers. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite Scooby-Doo crossovers, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's when Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet the monsters, like the Universal monsters, and Shaggy becomes a werewolf. Mm-hmm. And they have to do the race. I forget the name of it, but I actually love that one.
Just the plot of those stories just sounds like a good time. Mm-hmm. Like if you read the synopsis of it, it's like, oh, this sounds like a great time.
Sometimes the synopsis is enough.
Yeah, sometimes it is, absolutely. Eric, good call. Issue number 4. Been a long wait for issue number 4 of Lonely City as well. Those Black Label books and their irregular release dates are annoying.
I forgot it was coming out.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the reading things this week, but we still watched a couple of things. Chris, go ahead.
Before we get ahead, did you watch any of The Vampire yet?
I know I didn't. Oh man.
Mm.
So okay, so our if anybody hadn't listened to our last recording of episode 4 for Interview with the Geeks, you should, because I found it incredibly fascinating with your and Cookie's thoughts on this episode. I wasn't expecting the harshness, the negativity towards the certain things that I was seeing on the screen. So that surprised me a little bit. And there was a part in the middle of recording while I was kind of left aghast about where to go next, because I felt like the show was just okay. This is this is not good. I don't know if Chris is enjoying bashing the show. I don't know if Cookie's enjoying bashing the show. So I was a little bit nervous. And I kept trying to talk myself into episode 5, saying, you know what, maybe things are going to change. Maybe things are going to get better for the show, because talking about a show over and over again weekly with some friends is fine. But if you're not enjoying that thing, it could be a little bit hard. So I was hoping for episode 5 that there was going to be a slight turnaround. And you both said on the show that you didn't hate the episode 4, and you were still excited for episode 5. So no spoilers, because we're going to get to the spoilers when we do our recording for Interview with the Geeks. But Cookie had a tweet about Interview with the Vampire, where she was. It sounded to me like she wanted to be talked out of not liking the episode. And then Chris, you watched it as well, I think tonight on your thing, and you said it's kind of the same thing. You're just really excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
and you said that after episode 4 too. So I kind of see where this is going, but it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, it is going to be. I am excited to talk about, but I think that's kind of the beauty of these things. We get to talk about it with each other. It's just fun. And anyway,
Chris, move on.
Yeah. I like the episode, but anyway, what did you watch?
So I didn't really watch anything. I actually watched the first episode of Andor on Thursday. I was much like you, I knew that Rings of Power wasn't coming on. So I'm like, okay, let's give Andor a chance. And I think Andor's released 3 episodes at once. And if they only released it 1 episode at once, I'd say that would have been a huge misstep. Nothing happens in that first episode that had me anywhere excited about watching more of it. So, and I get it, they released 3 at once. I guess I should have watched 3 at once, but I just didn't have the time. So I want to keep going at it. But Andor after episode 1 would not have me wanting to watch any more if that was the only one. So obviously we did leave it long enough where there's lots of episodes to watch, so I'll keep watching. And like I said, I started to watch Fellowship of the Ring a little bit. I watched, I guess it was Saturday night, last night, maybe it was Friday night. I watched Halloween H2O, just to watch one that I hadn't watched before. I actually liked it a lot, better than I was expecting, because all those later, or those 2 Halloween movies at the end, Resurrection and H2O, having not seen H2O, just kind of blended in to figure they were both the same. More or less the same kind of movie. So it was nice. It was it was nice to be proven wrong. H2O is a good time. It's simple. It's got a really good Laurie that I like in it. It's got some pretty wild cast. LL Cool J, Michelle Williams, what's his name, Josh Hartnett, and it's got absolutely the worst Michael Myers mask that was ever been put to screen. I'm pretty sure that he looked like he had drawn on eyebrows on his mask. Pretty horrible stuff altogether. But other than that, I found it quite enjoyable. And I know you're a fan of H2O as well.
You said you watched Resurrection too, though?
I've seen Resurrection. I was going to watch that Saturday, and I didn't. And I watched the Faculty instead, which I was happy I did that.
I think that was a much better idea. just saying. Yeah, I do love H2O, though. H2O, I think, might be my favorite sequel of the Halloween franchise. And maybe it's a nostalgia thing. I think the first one I saw in the theater, so I might have some attachment to it. Also, it's a pretty easy watch. It's under 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty short, and it's just a good time. Also, I like the link that it has, because whereas the new trilogy takes place after the first movie. Of course, this one takes place after the second one, so it acts as the trilogy end for that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to talk about Resurrection, I don't. So I'm just going to say H2O is the cap for that trilogy. And I just like it a lot. I think it's cool. I love the ending. I like the idea that was Michael who gets decapitated.
Yeah, I wonder how long after they did that they realized, oh, wait, let's make another one.
Well,
like, did H2O not do good, or did it do too good where they wanted to make another one?
This is where I listened to Phil's show about it. I never knew this. So
Mr. Halloween scientist over here.
Not to spoil his episode, but there was a clause that they couldn't definitively kill Michael in the contracts. Right. And so when they shot the movie, they knew that. So resurrection was already a given.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah. So thanks, Phil, for the knowledge on that one.
Oh, he's the best. One thing that I thought was interesting, and you mentioned it about this, how it's a sequel to 1 and 2. You know, in the world of multiverses that's happening right now, we're kind of akin to this. But what was it like back then when these movies were coming out? You know, 4, 5, and 6 are they're in their own pocket, and then H2O and Resurrection are in their own pocket. You know, I don't know. Do you remember what this was like? Or like you said, you saw it in theaters. Were you confused about this? Or why things were happening in a certain way? Why the characters were different? Or why we hadn't seen characters?
I think H2O, it as long as you'd seen the first two, it fit just fine. You did kind of wonder, hey, where's Jamie? Hey, she has another kid. But, I mean, if I remember, and it's been since I've seen it, Jamie gets murdered in 6. But you would still imagine that there would be a mention of her, but there's not. So it wasn't too confusing. And I mean, Resurrection came and went pretty quick. So.
Well, that killed the franchise, didn't it? Basically,
it did. Well, it made it easier for Rob Zombie to come in and do that whole thing. So.
Oh, sure.
But H2O is a good one, and it's a fun kind of what if story, because really you have 3 different timelines now, technically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see how they each play out in their own way.
Agreed. I'm glad that I watched it, and now that I've seen H2O Resurrection and I haven't seen 4, 5, and 6, I'll be interested to. Well, I've seen the one with the barn. We mentioned this last week. Right. Which whenever it happens in the barn, I don't know which one it is. So it'll be nice to go back. Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to go back and watch them now. And I haven't seen 3 either. I know it's different and all that kind of stuff. So I'm interested to get to them. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, last year, I think we kind of not did it together, but did it together watching the Freddy Krueger movies.
Yeah,
Elm Street. We kind of did that. So so we to do that with the Halloween movies, to get caught up on old movies is always a good time. And it is
next year we're doing Leprechaun.
Yeah. Oh my God. Jesus.
We are doing it.
Oh my God. I look forward to it if we do. That could be a fun little thing.
I've already announced we are doing Leprechaun next year.
There's one in space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Just like Jason X. You love Jason X, don't you?
I do love Jason X. Hey, Travis. He's in the comments with us.
Awesome.
Pick your own adventure timelines. Michael Myers in the multiverse of Halloween. I like that. I also have watched one episode past Andor. Due to time, yeah. I haven't had a time to watch it either. I've been watching, everything else.
Sure.
Around 4 coming out was okay. I really only like 1 and 3. Well, that's interesting. So most people don't really love 3, but I think it's pretty cool for what it is. I think it's got a cool idea. And the whole anthology thing is neat too. I think horror anthology movies are just awesome.
Yeah, what do you think about that idea? If 3 would have worked, they would have done more of the anthology with less Michael Myers.
I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been interesting, I think, as well.
And you could always bring him back later if you do that anywhere. Like he could be in one of those stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been cool. Travis knows. Jason X is a good, bad movie. But, I mean, he looks really cool in the metal, spacesuit.
That's such a weird mask he has on, too. It
looks like he's got an antenna on it, but I love it.
Yeah, what a movie.
It's a good time. So that's why we'll do Leprechaun. And both, that means we're also going to cover both Leprechauns in the Hood, because there's 2 of them.
say there's 2 leprechauns in the hood?
Yes, there's Leprechaun in the Hood and Leprechaun Back to the Hood, I believe is what it's called.
Is it? How many is there? 9 or something?
Not enough.
Chris, you bastard! I tell you.
Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, that's good. Anything else you want to talk about, Chris, before we get into the Black Adam?
no, I think that's it.
So these
the
are going to
DC
be.
week.
Yeah, that's right. So this is going to be spoiler-free thoughts on Black Adam. It's just only been 2 days out in the theater. Chris, what do you think of Black Adam? When did you see it?
I saw it Thursday night in Dolby Cinema, and it was pretty fun. I think that's a fun movie. It's not Shawshank Redemption, which it was never meant to be anyway. It just feels kind of like, if I had to compare it to something, it's like the Venom movies or a Fast and the Furious movie with superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
It's nonstop action, and it's just a good time.
I was surprised about the nonstop action. I was surprised after basically as soon as Black Adam is on the screen, the action doesn't stop.
Mamma
Mia.
Mia.
There's some small talking moments here and there, which are more or less kind of used as exposition, or even at a certain point, maybe about 3/4 of the way through the film, as a more or less world building thing. But I was surprised about the action. I went with my son, who's 7, and my cousin's kid, who's 10. And this is, maybe we saw Spider-Man and we saw Sonic 2, the last 3 movies, and Black Adam with my son. This is probably the one that he was most interested in from start to finish. The length of the movie helped. It's only 2 hours. But the non-stop action, like Hawkman is Hawkman as soon as you see Hawkman. Like, he's got the wings all the time. He's got his helmet on. He's got the mace. Usually every time you see Cyclone, she's always doing her wind and throwing shit and that kind of stuff. And Adam Smasher's big, and he tells jokes, and he's funny and goofy. And then Dr. Fate's always doing cool, wild stuff. So I would agree with you, Chris, that I think that they knew exactly what kind of movie they were making. It's weird. This almost feels like, and I guess it was delayed, this feels like a summer blockbuster. It feels like a go to the movies in the summer and do it that. So I think it was supposed to come out in July.
Yeah, it was. June. They switched. Whatever release date Super Pets had is the one that they were supposed to have.
Right.
They switched.
Yeah, so I agree with that. So, and I had a great time with it. I was surprised how much I liked The Rock in it. Aside from him, who's very, very close to being my favorite part of the movie, I thought Hawkman was the best. I love seeing him every single time he was on screen. I love the look, the gold wings, and like I said, the mace. I like the ending. But one of the things I really liked about it was the relationship between Black Adam and Kahndaq. This and it really tells us what happens in the end credit scene. But the relationship that Black Adam has with his country. I like how, the idea that he's their champion. They're coming behind him, and how separated he is from the rest of the world. He doesn't care about the rest of the world. He only cares about his people, all that kind of stuff. So, like, the heart and the heart of the movie came down to Black Adam and Kahndaq, so which I really enjoyed. So I like the smashing stuff, and I also like the more of the heart, the family stuff in it as well, with the little punk on a skateboard.
You like Amon or Amon?
No, I don't know. Anytime I see a young teenage boy or a young kid on a screen now, I just can't get past hating them. Like how much we hated Theo early on. Yeah, how much we hated Theo early on in Rings of Power, and stupid Alistair. He's not a teenager, but he's a stupid kid. I don't know, there's something about this kid on a skateboard, doing sweet tricks. I'm like, you don't have to be doing the tricks and, getting away from military guys with guns and all that kind of stuff. So I could have done without it. I understand why he was there, but that's just kind of
Adam's Freddy
thing. Yeah, that's right.
He's basically just Adam's Freddy, so I was cool with it in that context. And I didn't really mind I didn't mind the kid, which was surprising to me because I usually, I like Travis's comment. Every single scene with Dr. Fate is fire. Hawkman looks awesome, but his logic is a little confusing at times. It was a fun time, but not the top tier DCEU for me. That I can agree with also, because when we talk about like the top films of DC, I don't know if I would bring this one up, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good time.
Agreed.
And I really love Dr. Fate as well. He was great, but the one who surprised me was actually Cyclone. Because I knew I'd like Hawkman, I knew I'd like Dr. Fate. Those were just automatic out of the gates. Yeah. Those two are going to hit for me. Cyclone and Atom Smasher, I'm like, I don't know about this.
Yep.
Cyclone, give me all the spinoffs. Atom Smasher is cool too, but I feel like Atom Smasher is really just Paul Rudd's Ant-Man.
Yeah, just the comedy.
The attitude of him, the kind of kind nature that he had. It's just Ant-Man in a DC movie, which is fine. Not upset by it. It's just not. It didn't stand out as much to me as like Cyclone or the other two. So more JSA. Yeah,
and I was surprised about Cyclone as well. I'm like, oh, it's just not to sound like a weirdo, but it's a girl who flies and uses wind. Not overall the most exciting thing, but the way that she uses her powers, I thought was wicked. I thought it looked really good.
It did look really good.
That's the other thing. I thought the movie looked outstanding. Not just the CGI, but just some of the shots, the color, the suits, all of the suits. I thought were really, really, really good. And we mentioned that it's not like a top tier DC one. This is one you can put on though. This is one you can put on and just watch it. Like I can't wait to watch it again with my son again, or my daughter who hadn't seen it, or my wife. Like putting on Man of Steel or putting on BVS. There's a little bit more of a, not a hassle, but there's more to it than just putting it on.
Yeah, it's not something you can just have on in the background, look up here and there. Like I agree. This is a movie I'm waiting to just have on in my background for when I'm doing other stuff. Because I can't put the Batman on. I get sucked into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Man of Steel, like you mentioned, BVS. Even Shazam. I love Shazam. I can't not watch it if it's on. Aaron is plugging. Aaron is going to be on Holy Backcast to talk Black Adam, so everybody go check that out. We love Aaron.
Ooh, talking to a real celebrity there, Aaron. Nice job.
Also, this is good. We're getting 5 more characters to DCU. That's always awesome. Yeah, Shazam is awesome.
That was the. I look forward to more Shazam and Black Adam stuff. I just hope that it's coming, because
I do too.
The name Shazam is mentioned a ton in this movie.
Yes, it is.
So I hope we get some more. I hope those characters can meet at some point.
So this is kind of funny to me. I knew nothing about Black Adam going into the movie. I actually thought he was an alien. I knew nothing. So I thought to transform, he yells Black Adam.
That makes sense. That's easy enough. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I didn't realize, no, he yells Shazam just like the other guy does. I thought Black Adam, and then he transforms.
Well, in the comics that I've read with that have Black Adam in it, and it's not that much, he is always Black Adam.
Yes.
He's never the human, lesser muscled Dwayne Johnson.
People are comparing that to Chris Evans in First Avenger, which I think is kind of a funny comparison. When one is clearly more CGI than the other,
right?
But it's just fun. But it's better he screams Shazam. I think it's cool. It's going to be interesting when they both scream it together, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is Shazam and it's interesting. We don't know when this takes place.
I was wondering about that. I'm very confused.
Yeah. So like I don't know, in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, there's Amanda Waller, and she's in it. And we know we don't get other superheroes. We get the Justice Society, who we haven't seen anywhere else in the DC film universe. Sure, I get it. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting, where the Rock's changed the hierarchy now. So what's next? Are we going to know if Black Adam happened before that or after that? It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I had a great time with it. And, Aaron made a joke that, yes, I went to the movie theater. I still would have liked to have watched it at home, but my son and my cousin's kid, I think they had a great time going as well. And the movie theater wasn't that packed here. It's the hottest day it's been in 3 months, so people are outside doing fall and things. It snowed 3 inches 2 days ago, but now it's 25 degrees. So people are enjoying the last bits of nice fall before Halloween comes, and then eventually the snow comes and stays for good. So I think that's why my theater just wasn't packed. So it was quiet. I got to get up and go to the washroom a couple times, and that kind of thing. And so my theater enjoyment was actually not that bad for seeing Black Adam.
Cool. I'm glad you went to the theater and enjoyed it.
Yes.
On that, I have two questions, because I know you've said this before, but how far is the theater from you?
So we have a small one in like the town that we go to. There's 16,000 people that live in it. So there's a small theater with like small screens. There's 3 screens in that entire theater.
Okay.
If I wanted to go to what we call them here, they call them Cineplexes, which is the much bigger one. It's got the surround sound and all that kind of stuff. It's 45 minutes to an hour away.
But the one you went to today is not that.
I just went to the small one. I won't go to that big one anymore. I don't like the theater experience anyway, so I won't spend more gas money and more money to go to a regular one. I'll just go to a local.
I was curious because the picture you posted, that's what caught my eye. Like, that is a theater.
Yeah. It's old time theater. It was built in 1949. So
okay.
It's an old one for sure.
I was curious. Like, is that like a standard? What is going on? Yeah, it seems like other Canadian friends I have go to those kind of theaters too.
Yep. If you look up online, there's a picture online that says Knocked Up and Shrek, and it's on I think it says Shrek Knocked Up or something, and it's like the words blended together. It's kind of funny. You find it online. It's everywhere online. That's the theater I went to.
So it's a celebrity theater.
It's a celebrity theater because of Knocked Up and Shrek. Yes.
Cool. 2 very good movies.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all stars.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do you want to talk about the end credit scene? We don't have to. It's okay. So
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it is cool. I'll say that.
I agree. It's cool even knowing what's coming. It was cool even know, because the stuff that I didn't know that's in it is also really cool.
That too.
Yeah,
that too. But I don't want to get into details of it. Just I don't want to spoil it for anybody. If you could, though, if you guys are tempted, go watch that guy Soups go nuts over it, and please take note. Don't ever do that in the theater. Just saying.
That guy's getting dunked on pretty hard.
He deserves it. He is ridiculous.
Holy cow.
Although if somebody wanted to pay me to do that, I probably would too. So maybe I shouldn't get that.
Well, it's just different. It's different than doing it on a stream at your home,
right?
And being overly excited. It's a lot different doing it in a theater full of 100 people.
And you could tell the guy in front of him was not having it.
I would not have had it. I've done that. I've told people not to stop talking. If somebody was doing it for theatrics, that would not have been a good scene.
Yeah, it was purely for theatrics. So go take notes, guys. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't be like those people.
Unless you're getting paid, then can I have a buck?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting about the Black Adam, and I'm hesitant to mention, but I do think it's a story. You know, the critic reviews over the fan reviews.
I love this guy. He was perfect, and he was in the perfect setup for the people's elbow.
I do think if you watch this movie, if you're a fan of DC, even if you're not a fan of DC, I think this is a pretty accessible movie for the fans. You know, there is violence in it, specifically one of them by the ending to what happens to the main villain of the movie. But you know, it's good enough for kids. Again, my son is 7. There's no blood. There is lots of death. Holy boy, is there lots of carnage in this movie, even though more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't expecting as much action and bombastic nature as much, even though we were basically sold that. But I think it's quite accessible for anyone to like. I think it's a really, really, really good time to go to the movie. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think if anybody, for anyone that I've seen, the fans who are seeing it, they also feel the same way.
Solid time. I'd recommend it.
Absolutely. All right, Chris. So that's our quick thoughts on Black Adam. I assume that the Vigilante 1939 guys will be having their kind of review coming out this week as well, going into full spoilers. So if you want some spoilers, hit up the V39 guys. They'll have you covered. We wanted to keep a little bit of a horror theme for our Sunday shows. Last week we talked about what the hell did we talk about last week for horror stuff?
Halloween Ends?
Yeah, Halloween Ends. Very good. The week before that we talked about Hellraiser. And then we kind of started off a little bit before that talking about the monsters painfully. So I felt like we should keep that horror theme. And I asked you, Chris, what horror movie would you like to talk about? What movie should I watch that I haven't seen before, maybe? And within a half a second, you said The Monster Squad. So I watched that. I can't remember what night that I watched that. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember now. Chris, why did you want me to watch The Monster Squad? What's your relation to The Monster Squad?
Why not?
What's your what's your affinity with the Monster Squad?
The Monster Squad is a movie I watched as a child, and I had it on a VHS tape. And I recorded it on HBO at the time, and I recorded it twice, so that way I can have it. I wouldn't have to get up to rewind the tape. Mm-hmm. I loved it that much, even as a kid, because I was one of those kids who loved horror. I would, it's been my thing forever. But Monster Squad specifically, I think, spoke to me because, hey, I was a kid. These are kids. They're fighting all these monsters. This is awesome.
Right.
So for me, it just kind of hit.
Had you been involved with the monsters before that time? Had you seen Frankenstein? Had you seen Dracula or Wolfman or Creature from the Black Lagoon?
I really don't remember because this is like one of the first movies I actually remember watching, period.
Right, okay.
So there's a chance I'd probably seen something Dracula related because I was, I knew, oh, that's Dracula. Mm-hmm. But the rest of them, no. I know for a fact I had not seen the Creature from Black Lagoon or Wolfman before that. Frankenstein, right. I think I'd seen already in some capacity. But it's a good time.
So we've already mentioned the Goonies. You watched the Goonies and you didn't enjoy the Goonies.
Not that I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't love it.
Okay, so do you see the relation between the two movies? Do you see why you didn't? Is it because of the monsters? Is that the straight up thing? And why you like the monsters? Because it's a group of kids, like a gang of kids going to fight evil.
Monster Squad was created to replicate the success of Goonies.
Right.
That was its purpose, but it just didn't hit the same way. And with Goonies, is one of those movies where I went into it, and when I going into the Goonies, I had so much like, you have to see it. How have you never seen it? You will love the Goonies. It's your kind of thing.
Sure.
And as I'm watching, like, okay, I could see how someone would think I would like this, but I don't get it. The truffle shuffle, okay, that's funny.
Yep.
And then sloth is cool, I guess. I don't know. It's not a bad movie, it's just not something I loved, and this one is. And I think maybe it has something to do with nostalgia, because I did see it when I was very young, and I've kept up with it over the years. I watch it once every Halloween at least, and it's got monsters, and I like monsters, especially the ones in this.
So I went into this movie fairly blind. I knew that it had the monsters in it, the Universal monsters.
This too.
I knew there was a gang of kids, something like that. The one thing I really did not like about this movie, and it's a weird thing to say, but I found the actor who played Dracula to be terrible. I found this Dracula to be terrible. I get it. It's a goofy kind of natured story, but when he got that, he's bringing Frankenstein back to life, he's got that pole with the little antenna on it. I get it. We're not talking about Shawshank Redemption here. Okay, I get it. I didn't buy him as Dracula. First of all, the one thing.
Continue.
The one thing that I really enjoyed about it were the costumes and the makeup. Stan Winston did the Wolfman. Creature of the Black Lagoon looked outstanding. Frankenstein, he looked okay. The Mummy, I thought was awesome. The one scene where they're driving down the street and Mummy, he comes out and grabs the back of the Jeep or whatever, and they shoot.
Yeah, that was funny.
The guy shoots the bow and arrow and the string, and it's pulling the rope off him, or what, the bandages off him. I thought that was really funny. I like the kid, the main kid there. He's got a shirt that says Stephen King rules. Very simple shirt. I like those kind of things. I guess again, I shouldn't think about it anything other than like it is Goonies. So I shouldn't be overly critical about it. It's a good time. I was so surprised I put it on. It's only an hour and 20 minutes. It's like blink and it's over. But my biggest thing is I like the monsters aside from Dracula. I'm a big fan of the monsters. And, Cookie, I don't know if she could be making a joke or she could be serious about the Wolfman, greatest Wolfman ever put to screen.
He is pretty awesome.
I like the look and like when he's in the phone booth and his transformation starts to happen. I thought that was really cool. Just, I don't know. If we're going to compare it to the Goonies, I guess I am going to. I like the kids better in the Goonies rather than the kids in the Monster Squad. But when you compare it to the monsters or the criminals, I like the monsters and more in the Monster Squad rather than the criminals in Goonies. A good time. I agree, Chris. I think nostalgia plays a heavy factor in it. And that's totally fine. Good.
To go back to DC's comment here, I haven't seen Monster Squad since I was a kid. I have the DVD, but I haven't revisited. My memories of it are gorgeous and precious, much like Goonies. That's the way. Gorgeous and precious are a great way to describe the Monster Squad.
And I used to this is me going in cold, having not seen the movie. I have no affection for the movie. I never saw it, so it's hard to go into a movie like this, and I don't know, find more in it. And maybe I shouldn't be looking for more. It's just a couple of kids, fighting the universal monsters, and that's as simple as it is, I guess.
Well, there's that, and also it's a movie where, again, it's a product of its time because in those, in the 80s and stuff, they didn't shy away from horror even when children were involved. So you have like the kid stuff is kid stuff, realistically. Yep. They're just kids. But the monsters, they don't, like the Wolfman transformation, that is really extreme for a kid's movie.
Yep.
And it is one of the best werewolf transformations ever to hit the screen. I know I'm biased, but still.
That's fine.
I think it's one of the best transformations that I've ever seen personally. For me, it's that one. It's American Werewolf in London. And probably, actually, just those two come to mind. So I put it in the same category with that.
You ever see the Jack Nicholson one?
I have.
You don't like that one?
I like it, but it's different.
Yeah, sure.
It's different. When he's like in the half makeup, I think he'd make a great Wolverine, but that's irrelevant right now.
That would be fun.
But I love the way that it doesn't shy away from the horror elements because it gets really dark. Like when Dracula is half man, half bat, and he's writhing around in pain.
Yeah, he just gets shot, right?
It's pretty intense. And then even like you said, the design of the monsters was really cool. The Mummy, and I like the kids too. I think they got a lot of personality. Like Horace, when he gets that moment at the end, my name is Horace.
He's the bigger one, right?
He's the bigger guy.
Right. Yeah.
I have a name where he says it's Horace, and he cocks the gun. It's pretty cool. And then like Rudy is the stereotypical cool kid, leather jacket, sunglasses.
Yep.
It's fun.
I liked the relationship between Frankenstein and the little girl.
Yes, I like that too.
A callback, obviously, to the original Frankenstein. I thought that was a cool little nod.
Yeah. Her name is Phoebe, the kid, and of course, when he screams it at the end, I actually call the dog that way sometimes. It confuses the hell out of her because the dog's name is Phoebe.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it very much. But yeah, it's a fun time. I enjoyed it, and I also watched the documentary Wolfman's Got Nards, which kind of added some extra context to certain things, which I like too. But I generally don't enjoy documentaries much.
What kind of context would it have added? Is there something about the production of the
just the monsters? And what's funny is I already knew a lot about the production anyway, so they didn't really shed any new light on that. Okay. But seeing the way the monsters were designed and things like that was pretty cool. Like how they thought they had to go from Universal to perfectly mimic the monsters when they didn't. So they had to go back, and that's why the monsters look slightly different. The Wolfman is
like Frankenstein's head's a little different shape too. It's not the square with the big hard bolts.
Right. I want to say the bolts are different too than the Universal Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Wolfman looks more like the Hammer Films Wolfman than he does the Universal. There's a few other differences, but that's all fun stuff. Oh, and Cookie, this is what I want to mention. Cookie mentioned it first, in the jog my memory. So you know when Dracula picks up Phoebe and hisses at her and she screams?
Yep.
Okay, that wasn't. She didn't know that was coming. When they were making the movie, the kids never knew when the scary stuff was going to happen, so all the reactions would be genuine.
Oh.
On that particular part, when Dracula grabs her, she screams so loud that it took her breath away, so they had to redo it. It was pretty fun. Fun to see them talk about it anyway, because there's surprisingly a lot of behind the scenes footage.
Would there? Do you think, like I said, the movie's an hour and 20 minutes? Do you think there's more to it? Is there, like, I guess behind the scenes footage is different than on screen footage, but do you think there's more to the movie? Is there something else, or?
Yeah, I think it's just what you see is what you get. I would love if there's more, like make a director's cut, make a sequel, do something.
Well, that was my big thing. Why isn't there a sequel? Why isn't this the, why didn't they redo this one? I think it'd be actually for a legacy sequel, to bring the monsters back. I don't know if you could bring the kids back. I don't know where they are in their lives or whatever, but this one's ripe for a sequel or a reboot or something. Even a reboot. I'd kill for a reboot of this. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, I would too. I think that it's prime for a sequel, or you could do the reboot. I just wonder how they would do it now, given that, you're not going to have kids running around the way they are in this movie. Because these are like 12-year-olds who have the run of the city, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, when we're seeing that with the Interview with the Vampire, where they're aged up Claudia from the books.
Right.
Having young kids doing things and they wouldn't make it the same way. It wouldn't be the goofy, campy nature. They would probably make it more horror based. So yeah, you couldn't have kids doing that, I suppose.
I mean, I would, but
of course you would.
Hey, it goes with the territory. I would still like to see something made from it. It's a shame the actor who plays Horace passed away, and I don't think there's any interest with the original writer or Shane Black to do it.
It's that Shane Black? It
is that Shane Black.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, this and Lethal Weapon came out in the same year.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think in the documentary they mentioned it would have been better if it had released after Lethal Weapon, so that they could have put his name and said from the director of Lethal Weapon.
Obviously, yes, that would have made sense.
Yeah. So, but it's a cult movie. It's not like a widely loved movie still, which is interesting to me because growing up, I thought this was a huge deal, and then come to find out I'm older and I can't find a copy of it anywhere. Hey, where's the Monster Squad? Oh, nobody likes it? What do you mean?
Yeah, so I mentioned I think it should have a sequel or reboot or something, and I also mentioned how much I like the Universal monsters in this movie. I wish I don't wish that the Mummy worked with Tom Cruise, because that was not good.
No.
And the way they're going now with the Universal monster movies, which Blumhouse has them, we're getting the Invisible Man. We got the Invisible Man. We're getting the Wolfman with Ryan Gosling, and I think an Invisible Woman, depending if they do that or not. So
we're also getting Dracula with Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, so that the feeling of that the old school monster movies. Do you think it still work? Like, they're trying to change it. They changed Invisible Man a lot to make it more science-based and abusive relationship-based. But there's something about those Universal monsters. And, like, it's been a long time. It's obviously Wolf, but that's much different. Again, they try to change a little bit. Like, just the classic nature of these characters, I think would still work. Chris, am I wrong? Or do you think it'd still work now?
I think it would too. I mean, they're classics, and there's ways to update them without changing them too much. I think it would definitely work, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to do this. I'm all for bringing them back. The last time we really had them around was Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, and I actually enjoy that movie for what it is. It's not something I love, but I enjoy it. And then the series Penny Dreadful, which I need to finish. Penny Dreadful does a great job of bringing the monsters into not a modern context, but bringing them back and making them really dark, darker than because I mean the Universal movies aren't exactly that dark. We'll get to you in a second, Graham. I see that going on. They're really not that scary. Like not a lot happens in them. If you look at Dracula, for example, in Dracula 31. he never actually bites anybody. You
Oh,
never
yeah.
see him physically harm anybody. But it's more, at the time, like, oh, he's in the shadows with that girl.
Sure.
She's dead on the ground now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more of a mind over matter thing, or mind over seeing it. But I think there's a lot they could do. Now let's get to this, because do you think the Invisible Man will be in the Invisible Woman, or will they go for a PG-13 rating? I think that they could do like a team sort of thing. I don't know. That would be interesting, though. One of the fun things about those old movies is that they had a multiverse before a multiverse was a thing.
Yeah.
And I would like to believe you could do that again with them. And I think you could.
It'll be interesting how the Wolfman is related to the Invisible Man.
Very. Because if they're going to go more scientific, I don't know how you're going to make a scientific werewolf. And honestly, if that's what they're doing, I'd rather they not.
Yeah, well, that was the rub with Invisible Man. Like he's not like he's wearing a suit.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, well, we just move right past it. Grabs is what we do. They use the suit, so it will be interesting how they do it with the Wolfman. I can't remember who Ryan Gosling's character. I can't remember who he is in the movie.
I believe he's Larry Talbot.
I don't know who that is.
The Wolfman.
Yeah, but who he is, like he's not the traditional person who is the Wolfman, I think.
Oh, then he's not Lawrence Talbot.
He might be the name, but maybe it's just the what he does and who he is. But they're just keeping the name. There was something about it that I remember reading, but how different it is. Again, how a different spin that they're putting on these movies to make them different again.
Yeah, everything requires a take now. Where if I were in charge, I would say, hey, look at these old movies.
Mm-hmm.
Let's redo them, add some color, add some horror in it, some actual visuals, and let's call it a day. But I'm not in charge.
Yeah, that would be so interesting if they just they did a Frankenstein movie and it was just felt like the same. If it had that same feeling.
Have you ever seen the one Robert De Niro?
No, I don't want to. All I've heard is horrible, terrible, disgusting things about it.
Oh, it's something.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah.
Naked Robert De Niro screaming in the rain. Check it out.
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds great.
It's something. It's better than when they made him a detective. I think Blumhouse does need to hire me. I will also take over Halloween.
That was my thought. This idea and everything has to be a take and changing things, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And if they give us the same thing over again, what will we say? Oh, it's already been done before. So I understand both sides to it. But at a certain point, you have to be like, okay, this has worked before. These characters are classics. Let's stick with what has worked and continue to work without going completely to left field.
Yeah, I think there's just a balance for it, and that's the thing. Because I don't mind. I know we joke about it, but I really don't mind the takes and stuff. It's fine. Every director's going to do what they want to do. Every writer's going to do it. It's fine. But at the same conversation, if you are taking, let's say, the Wolfman, and you're taking the Wolfman out of him, what are we watching here?
Right.
He was bitten by a Rottweiler, and now he thinks he's a wolf. It is not the same, guys. I like this hashtag, by the way. We need to get that going.
Yeah. So I can say that I've seen Monster Squad now. I'm glad I saw it. Like I said, Chris, it's one of your favorites, so I had no issue watching it right away. I found some enjoyment in it, and I also found some things that just kind of roll my eyes at, but that's not really new or different for a lot of different things. So,
are you Team Rudy?
What?
What?
If you had my team,
because most people have a favorite character, and Rudy is usually the favorite, I think. So would you?
Rudy's the hotshot.
He looks like Fonzie as a child.
No, I'm the kid that says Stephen King rules. Is that a guy?
That's Sean.
Yeah, I want to be on Sean's team. I like him.
Okay, cool. I would be Team Rudy.
I liked him sitting on the roof and watching a drive-in movie with his radio right beside him. I like that idea.
I would probably be the one trying to get with the monsters. Hey, can I help you? Or Team Rudy. Either way, I'm good either way.
Okay, I didn't know there was teams. Team color.
There is now.
Okay, very good.
The line, I'm the goddamn club, aren't I?
I like those questions. Yeah. What kills this and who kills that? And how do you kill this thing? And then he silver bullet. Silver bullet kills the wolf man.
Yeah, like it's common knowledge, you loser.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
All right. So that's our thoughts on the Monster Squad and overall kind of Universal monsters in general. Chris, anything else you want to talk about before we get on out of here?
We're not going to have a show next week, so.
Oh, right. We're not having a show next week. Chris is actually going somewhere.
I like how there was that pause. Like, what do you mean? Wait.
Well, I had to think about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, right. There's no hurricane. You're good to go.
Right, no hurricane this week, so I will be out of town. We won't have a show, but we will have the episode of Interview with the Geeks up, so that'll be fun. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it. Now we could just do plugs, I guess.
Do them, man.
All right, all the plugs. So you guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70. But as always, I prefer you guys follow the show at G of the Geeks. Emmet is better doing the rundown for the podcast and subscription thing, so he'll take over.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. I also want to plug. I'm going to change the way I say it. I'm going to promote my wife. I'm going to say plug my wife. So this little thing right here is a little crocheted Batman that she did for me. And she just came into the room about 5 minutes ago and gave me this crocheted Gimli.
Oh, that's cool.
That she just finished. So I'm going to put that up over there beside my Batman. And she's going to make some more. She's been doing that a little bit lately. So I just want to say thanks to my wife for this cool little Gimli. I want to say thanks to everybody in the comments. Zeddy, Grabs, DC Patrol, Cookie, Eric, Travis joined in as well. Aaron, thanks so much for checking us out from tomorrow, man. Really appreciate you. And like Aaron said, make sure you download the latest episode of Holy Badcast where he's going to be talking about Black Adam with Andy over there. So that'll be awesome. And saying all that, for Chris and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Have a good week.